I give you Rafael and Wennder. Let's go.
Hey guys, I would like to ask how are you, but probably most of you are tired. We are in the last parallel sessions, and okay, just a few more minutes. We are almost finished the first day. So it was amazing to be here with you today, and just to set some expectations, this is my first international conference, and more than that, it's my first English talk. So try to understand me. Um, from development to start with React Native and VSTS. If you don't know React Native or if you don't know VSTS, don't worry. At the end of this presentation, you will continue don't know nothing of both. And okay, but at least you will know what you can do with React Native and as well with VSTS. If you don't know me, my name is Wennder dos Santos, and I'm a software engineer, but recently I started to work as a consultant. So my main job today is to go to customers and try to help them to change their cultures, to change their process. And when I said change, it's in a better way. At least I believe in that. I'm also a blogger, sometimes YouTuber. You can find my contents there. Most of the time it's technical content. Other times non-content, non-technical content. And I have these titles that Microsoft gave me because of my jobs in technical communities. I have a little bit of, I don't know, bullshit before the technical content. So before we start, I would like to say a few words to you. If you don't know this guy, his name is Tim Cook. He's the CEO of Apple. And a few weeks ago, I was watching the new iPhone event, and this guy said some words. He said something that I like it, and I thought I definitely would like to say those words to other people and try to pass the same feeling I felt that day. Tim had the responsibility to open the keynote, and first he showed a video about the place that they are, the place that they were. So the place was called Steve Jobs Theater, and you should Google for Steve Jobs Theater if you don't know. It's an amazing place. It's beautiful. After that, he showed a video where Steve Jobs was saying something like what I will say here, but try to understand. I don't have the same presentation skills like Steve Jobs, so I will try. There are lots of ways to be as a person, and none of them are right or wrong. We are all different, but not better or worse, just different. We need to be true to who we are, be different and true to ourselves. It's okay and it's wonderful because this keeps us, us. Everybody has a talent or talents. If you are here, you are here to learn new things. And that means that you care about the work you are doing every day. You probably know, I don't know, some person that you think he or she doesn't know anything or doesn't know or doesn't have any talent. But if you think just a little bit more, you probably will find something that that person knows better than you. During our lives, we constantly unlock talents. And working with IT, we unlock talents every day, every moment, right? Don't let anybody tell you that you don't know nothing. If you are here, you definitely know lots of things. And just to finish this bullshit, as any lecture, you will not learn much here. And I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm here to try to give you some inspiration and give you some insights. So again, I'm not here to teach you. I'm here to give you some insights. No more bullshit, I promise. About how I will talk here today, if you know about those things, or better, if you are doing those things, I want to congratulate you, because most of the companies, and I mean, as I said, I'm going to customers every day, and most of the companies, they don't have any idea what is continuous integration and what is continuous delivery. Actually, most of the companies are still fighting with virtual controls like Git. And if you don't know about those things too, it's okay. You are here. You are looking for knowledge. So that's okay. You are here to try to, I don't know, to take some insights. So congratulate you too. I'd like to start this conversation or this presentation with this question. How is your delivery process? Or how is the delivery process of your team or the company of you, the company that you work? Doesn't matter if you work with web, with mobile or desktop or whatever. Just think, how is your delivery process? Do you think you are doing this right? Do you think you are doing this you could do this in a better way? Dropbox, really? I'm kidding. This is my own Dropbox. But don't worry, this is past. I'm not doing this anymore. Thank God. In the beginning of my career as a developer, I usually did this. And I did this a lot. And it was painful. Really, it was so painful. It was not just Dropbox. I needed to combine Dropbox with mail because I needed a way to send the links to my customers to download my app. And do you know the problem I usually had with this process? Most of my customers, they were non-technical people. So I always had to teach the customers how to enable their devices to install applications out of the store. And guys, this was a waste of time. Hours and hours teaching customers. Do you know how many Android devices exist? I don't know either, but I can tell you, it's a lot. It's a lot. And ever new client that installs my app, that try to install my app, they called me. How can I install your app? How can I enable my device to install your app? And again, I start to try to teach those guys. And most of the time, I didn't know either. How could I enable the devices to install the applications? Yeah, bad times. I don't like to remember. Let's move away. Let's say you are not using Dropbox or email. Congratulate if you are not using. Can you deploy an update of your application anytime? And again, your application can be web, desktop, mobile, whatever. Can you deploy your application at any time? And I mean, do you need to wait until your customers to stop using your application to do a deploy, to do an update? This is bad because this period, the period when your customer are not using your application is the same period when you should be with your family, or you should be sleeping. You should do anything but working. If you are doing this, I need to say, you are suffering for fear. I suffered for free for a long time. Until I learned it. I don't want to suffer anymore. I want to learn to do it in another way. I would like to tell you how I did my first deploy ever. It was in my first job. I was working as a programmer, and my role was to develop an e-commerce. Why not? Every company wants to develop a new e-commerce. And after a few weeks of writing code, we were ready to deploy for the first time. And what did I do? Of course, I opened an FTP client. I send my files, my application files to the server, and that's okay. Everything was working fine. The app was online, and the customers started to use. As any software, we started to fix bugs, to code new features, and a few days after the first deploy in the same week, I needed to deploy an update to the application. What did I do? Of course, the same thing. I just knew one way to do deploy. So I opened the FTP client, I tried to send the files again, and I got an error. The error was the FTP client couldn't send the files because the application was using the files. What did I do? I stopped the application. So I stopped the application, I opened the FTP client again, and I sent the files. I started the application, I started the web server again. My app was online, everything was fine for 5 minutes. 5 minutes after the deploy, my cell phone rang. It was a customer, and he was talking to me not in a good way. He starts saying, "What the fuck happened with your application? I was using here, I got an error, and after that, I was redirected to the home page, and I lost everything I was doing. What happened?" I knew what happened. It was me. I stopped the application. I stopped the web server. And I think that is the moment that most of the companies start to do deploys just when the customers are not using their systems, their softwares. Because they know that if they do deploys when the customers are using the software, there will be problems. They will be in trouble. There are lots of ways to automate deploys, builds, and any kind of process. In any kind of application. I'm talking about mobile application, but you can do this in whatever application, whatever platform. Using automated process, you have a lot of benefits, but I like a few of them. I like to talk about a few of them. One is logs. You always have logs of everything. Traceability. And the last one that I like more is confidence. You always have the confidence that you are doing the same process every time. You are doing the same process with the same configuration every time you do a build, every time you do a deploy. And this has no price. I will show you a quick review of the tool and frameworks that I will use in a demo. Not in a deep way, it will be fast, I promise. Just to put everyone in the same step, okay? I will not show you any code. I will not show any typed command in my terminal. I will not show you any logs, okay? So just pay attention in a general process. Do you know React? Of course you know. React is like a virus today. Every web page that you open your browser has a file called React being downloaded. I don't know why. Don't ask me. People are using React for everything. It's like you don't have any other option. It's like, oh, how can I create a simple web page? Oh, you first need to download a thing called React. Really? Yeah, trust me. Let's say you don't know what is React. Just a quick review. It's an open source JavaScript library created by Facebook. React is a component-based model, which means that you can create small components that manage their own state. Learn once, run right anywhere. I mean, React is JavaScript. You can run React, whatever, you can run JavaScript. And learn once, right anywhere is different from those hybrid mobile frameworks that says write once, run anywhere. It's very different. If you are like me, that learned that you should write your HTML code in a HTML file, JS in a JS file, CSS in a CSS file. Bad news, guys. When I started to use and when I started to study React, I got a shock when I saw this because it go against all of the rules that we were learning until now. But it's not the end of the world. After a few hours using React, you will start to understand those things. And maybe you will like. I have to say, I'm liking. And React Native. If you don't know React Native, okay, a quick view. It's a framework for building mobile applications. You code React to build mobile apps. It's possible to build Android, iOS, Universal Windows Platform. The UWP version of React Native is a Microsoft fork of the React Native library. And one thing that I like in React Native is the hot reloading. If you know web development, you know what is hot reloading. And it's a great thing because you don't need to wait until your application restarts in your device to test, I don't know, small change like change a color of a label, change the size of a label. So it's very good in a time of development. Can you imagine how much time are wasting just to waiting an application reinstall in a device or an emulator or simulator or whatever? When I started to develop using React Native, I already used Xamarin and Native Script, and people usually asked me, "Why not Xamarin? Why not Native Script?" And I have two reasons to answer that question. The first one is taste. Maybe you don't like C# to code Xamarin. Maybe you don't like XAML. Maybe you don't like XML to code the views of Xamarin. And the same for Native Script. Native Script, you have to code XML to the views. And the second one is knowledge. Maybe your team have more knowledge in Xamarin or Native Script than in React Native. So you should choose the better tooling that your team knows. This is a React Native code. It's almost the same of the image that I showed before. It's just a React code. And the last one, VSTS. VSTS means Visual Studio Team Services. Probably most of you don't know Visual Studio Team Services. And probably because it's a Microsoft product. And as a developer, and I'm including that, we didn't like Microsoft products. But Microsoft is changing in the last few years. And two changes that can I tell you is Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio Team Services. Those are great products. And I like so much Visual Studio Team Services because before these two, I usually used Jira, but I had to plug Jira with other tools. And when I started to use Visual Studio Team Services, I don't need to plug anymore because I have all that I need just in one tool. So I can plan my work, I can build, I can release, I can test, if I don't have what I want here, I can, I don't know, code some extension and plug it in Visual Studio Team Services. If you go to the website, the Visual Studio Team Services website, you will find something like the tool that you can build everything, whatever you want. And this is true. I usually use a PC and my MacBook Pro, and both I can build using the Visual Studio Team services. Let's try to do some stuff work, but this is that time that I need to pray to the demos God, right? So God help me. Let's um, just a second. I will mirror my screen. Okay. So this is Visual Studio Team Services. This is the Kanban. Let me just zone it. Okay. This is the Kanban view where I plan my work. So this is good because I can have traceability of everything. I can plug all of these tasks with brands, with builds, with releases. So when I release my app using Visual Studio Team Services, I can see all the tasks that that release have. I have my summary of the builds that I run it before. I have the build definition that I will use here in this demo. So I can configure a build definition just adding tasks. It's very easy. So I have 3 tasks here that will run my build. I will restore my npm packets. I will build and sign in an Android app, and I will publish the artifacts, which means I will store the artifact somewhere that my release can use to send somewhere. I can store my code here, so you can see my branches, you can see my files, you can see my commits, and as we saw in the build summary, we have a release summary too. So all of my logs, all of my history, all of the history of my application is just here. And as we saw in the build, we have the release definition. So I could come here and add a new environment, maybe an homolog environment or a dev environment. So for now, just to show, we have just our prod environment. And my release definition has 1 task. So when my build succeeded, will be the trigger to my release. And my release will just send my app to my Play Store account. So let's just see how all of this that I'm talking works. Okay. Okay, is that okay? I will not code, but I will show you something. Oh, the application is running here on my simulator. So this is the most basic React Native application. I just used the command line to create this application, and I didn't do nothing. I didn't do anything after that. So I don't know. I can show you a little bit of the hot reloading. So I made a change and I saved the file, and the change is here on my simulator. But the thing that I want to show is here. I will change the version control of my application to start a new deploy to the Play Store. So if you see here, we have some changes. Okay, I will just push this to my repo. It's not easy to type just with one hand. Okay, just as Malmar said. Version 13 is 13? Yeah. So just push this to my repo, and when I push this, look that build that we saw before, that summary build that we saw before now has one build in progress. After I updated my code, now I have one build being executed. And if we see what is happening, the same tasks that we saw before are being executed. So all of the logs here, don't pay attention to the logs, just pay attention what is happening in the left side. So build and signing done. Now just upload the artifacts, in this case the APK, and APK signing, and to somewhere that my release can find. So build succeeded, and this is the trigger to start a new release here. So new release started, and this release is so simple. It has just one task, and this task will take the artifact generated by my last build and send to the Play Store. So just executing a few more seconds, sending to the App Store. Okay, everything fine. And I can show you here. This is, okay, just a little bit of zoom. Look at that, pay attention. We don't have any version code 13 here. This is my library of artifacts in my Play Store account. And we just did a release to this place. If I refresh the page, now we have a version 13 here. So we just released a new version of my application to my Play Store library. And just to recap, after I made a change in my code and pushed it to my repo, I didn't do anything more. All of the process after I pushed my code to my repo was automated. So imagine that I'm at Friday of the office and I want to go with my girlfriend to the movies. And I need to deploy an application because all of the deploys are made at Friday, right? And it takes time to do a deploy, but not in that way. And this is not a work of another word. It's simple. But when we have this kind of automation, we need to care even more with other things like tests, because it's easy to deploy, it's easy to send our application to another environments, and it's easy to send bugs too, because we code bugs, right? We not just code features, we code bugs too. That's the history, the history of development. So we need to care about with tests more than ever when we have this kind of automation. So when we are talking about mobile application, you need to care about to layout tests and, I don't know, end-to-end tests. And you should test your mobile application in real devices. But this is not easy if you are doing this in-house. You should do this using some services. I know 3 services, and I already used this one. It's called Xamarin Test Cloud. And you can use Xamarin Test Cloud to run automated tests in real mobile devices. So you can use Xamarin Test Cloud to run your tests in Android device, iOS device, iPads, Android tablets, and it's easy, but it's not cheap. It's very expensive because they will you need to pay this for, I don't remember, I think it's for a minute. So every minute you run your test here, you need to pay. And imagine if you are running your tests in, I don't know, 100 or 1,000 of devices. This price will just grow. You also have AWS Device Farm. It's kind of the same service, kind of the same price. And you have Firebase Test Lab for Android. Again, kind of the same services. When I started to automate those kind of builds and deploy, I was trying to automate all of the process of my tests. And one step that I really, I don't know, had some trouble was when I was trying to automate the, let me see here. When I was trying to automate the release of iOS, because in that time, I didn't have this task again. This is a new task. Not so new, but I didn't have this in that time. So I did a lot of work manually to automate my release process for iOS devices. And I use this guy there called Fastlane. And when this task was released by Visual Studio Team Services, I realized that they are doing the same work I did manually. So I could take all of the code that I did and transform in a task and publish here. But I didn't think that in that time. So guys, I hope I could succeeded in inspire you in some way. I hope I could give you my side. I hope I could give you the inspiration and the insights that I would like. And that's it. Thank you.